Incap released today its Q1 business review, and I have company CEO Otto Pukk here at the Q&A interview. Welcome, Otto.
Thank you very much, Antti.
So let's start with the Q1 figures. Slight growth and a little bit weaker profits than the last year. You were cautious when you released your annual accounts at the end of February that the start for this year won't most likely be very strong. But how did it play out in the end? Was it like in line with your expectations, or did you see any surprises?
No, I think it was in line with our expectations, and overall we were anticipating that the market will be slow and very much due to the new administration in US and all the trade war and tariff threats and or how to say, perhaps we should call them negotiations, because it seems to be that they throw up a lot of dust in the air, and where it will settle is another difference. So we anticipated this. We knew that from our customers already in the end of last year, that they are also anticipating the same, and are a little bit waiting on placing the big orders, because everybody wants to know in that sense through what channel you should do it to optimize it. There is always a way in that sense and we are working with the active tariffs today as well. But what makes the market perhaps a little bit uncertain is that we don't know exactly the game rules. And once those are settled, I think we will see things turn upwards. And that is what we are predicting as well, that the second half of this year will be stronger than the first.
Still continuing from the Q1, did you see any geographical differences in demand in Q1, or was the picture pretty much same everywhere?
I would say there's always a little bit fluctuation. So in our US unit and in India we had somewhat perhaps strong in demand, and in Europe a little bit weaker. But I think that is more. There's always some variation, and in Europe, for example, we are stronger on defense sector. That is a sector we anticipate to go strong now, but still there is a little bit variation, and we came as we wrote in the report. Europe perhaps was a little bit weaker, but that I would say is more natural variation. I think we are affected all over of the general market situation, and overall, as I said, we expect the second half to be stronger, and that said, I must say that in the current market conditions, hitting a double-digit EBIT and making a little bit more than last year, we are quite happy with that result as well, to be honest. And we didn't need to go out and do something else in that sense and talk about a decline of business or a sub double-digit EBIT. In the contrary, I think the result, considering everything, is a quite decent one.
Yeah, double-digit EBIT margin is always great in EMS industry, but 11% is maybe a bit at the lower end of your typical range, I would say, looking numbers backwards. How was the product mix in Q1? Was there anything extraordinary in product mix in Q1?
No, product mix always varies. We have had the same discussion several times, and it goes up and down. Product mix goes up and down, and that gives a variation of it. Also, of course, a lower utilization of the factories also impact the EBIT, and especially if we are expecting also that an increase, then we are perhaps not gearing down as much as we would if we were expecting a long-term decline or something like that. So those things play in, but I must say that 11% is still 11%. So in the end of the day, I think as an EMS company, that this is a solid result.
Yeah, it is. So, reading your CEO review, you look very confident on the second half of this year, even if these trade risks have partially materialized in April. In a nutshell, what does make you confident that H2 will be stronger?
No, I think there's in nobody's interest to keep this situation ongoing longer than it is. So I'm quite sure that our politicians in both sides of the ocean and our own side of the oceans, because we are in many markets, in the end of the day, they will settle this and negotiate to some conclusion. And I think the outcome, of course, as long as there's nothing crazy, but the outcome is not that as important as that the rules are actually settled. What are the tariffs? On what market? What products? And so on. Once that is settled, then we companies we always find a way to do business in that sense. So I think that is more important. And I'm as I said, I'm quite sure it's in nobody's interest to keep this longer, like this turbulence longer than it is, and that I believe. And also that, as I said, from our customer side, we haven't had any flaggings that the demand is not there, but it's an insecurity how to service that demand from our customer side, because they don't know that if they choose perhaps one route into a market, that then you will have suddenly great tariffs there, then you don't want to bet all the eggs in one basket in that sense, and so people are waiting a little bit. But there's not we haven't seen any like super decline in demand, and so it's more a waiting game that what's the best way to service, and that gives me confidence as well moving forward, that I believe that the rules will settle, the demand is there, we are ready to produce, and as you saw also with Antti, we are slowly gearing up a little bit also with inventory levels, and so to facilitate those orders that we have ahead. So overall, there's always risks, always possibility things go the other way, but I have no reason to believe that in current stage.
Yeah, that was pretty much my next question. If your customers have updated their 6 to 9 month forecasts that they usually give it to you, and if there are any movements in these updates made after this trade issue became more severe at the beginning of April?
How to say the forecast and our steering, of course, is we already were discussing this late last year, and we see so much in advance, at least that this nothing that we are looking at just now. It's part of it, but our forecast and our steering that we remain in our steering is based on our customer forecast. So our customer forecast, our current orders, and so we don't have any speculation in that the number. So that said, that of course we take into account also our customer forecast. So our steering is based very much on that and the current order. So if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And you a factory also in US, which is obviously very good in this kind of situation. But anyway, I was wondering how much of components that you use in US you source in China, and is it an issue because there are like huge tariffs now on US-China trade on place as we speak?
Yeah, people tend not to understand the complexity of the situation, and so if we look already today but before the new tariffs, there were tariffs on Chinese goods, and of course there is a lot of components coming from China all over the world. There is so the supply chain is very much tied to China, and also in US we are buying from Chinese today and need to do that in the future, because in many cases there are not any clear alternatives to this. And that means, of course, that Incap is not absorbing any tariffs. We are forwarding this to our customers, and they are forwarding them to their customers. In the end, the consumers on the market pay the tariffs. And so, but I must say that I like the approach that we are now standing up both in Europe and especially in US now with Trump administration for local manufacturing. And in the electronic industry, that is, I think better late than never in that sense. But we need to understand a lot of components come from China. And these components, they cost 0.0000 cent euro. So it's not like this super lucrative business to invest in for Western companies to move that manufacturing back to Europe. And if that would be the case, that we over time, it will take years, tens of years before you would have a bigger impact of moving some part of the global supply chain back into Europe or US or so. So if we would succeed with that, then it's still so that China owns a lot of the raw materials. They're mining them and they're selling them. So there is a dependency of China in the world anyway. And I think that is what people don't understand. China is playing a 400-year game. Our politicians very often play a 4-year game, not even that, because they change coalitions in between elections and so as well. So it's a different kind of game, and we are slowly waking up to that with the component crisis, with COVID, with now the geopolitical situation of war in Ukraine, for example, and suddenly find ourselves, hey, now there is we are in this kind of dependency situation of China. Let's try to do something about it. But it's not a quick fix. It's a welcoming start, but it's not a quick fix. And we need to keep on working. And I think China will be a trade partner both for US and European Union in the future as well. That is one thing that is for sure.
Yeah, that was good description of the situation. And then you released your annual report recently, and it's obviously very interesting because that opens up your customer structure the best. And the last year, it was actually your second biggest client which grew a lot and represented a big part of group growth as well. Could you please a bit discuss in which industry this second biggest customer is operating and what is driving their business?
We haven't as you said perhaps open up that very much before, but yeah, our second biggest customer is in utility, I would say smart grid and utility metering and this kind of industry, not on consumer side, but on industrial and on more of the grid side. So if that opens up not only electricity, but also gas, water, and a lot of different energy sources. So in that kind of business, a big multinational company that we're working with.
Did their business grow that fast last year, or were you able to increase share of wallet in this key account?
No, we have been working with them for a long time, and this is something, and this is part of our US business in that sense. So we have been working very long time with them, and they also have a project-based business. So of course, there's some volatility as always in their business as well. But last year was a good year.
Yeah, we can see it from the sales figures. Then finally, let's touch defense segment, which is like a hot topic in EMS industry right now. It is usually a very conservative industry, and it's very difficult to break into the segment if you haven't been in this business historically. Nowadays, we have a situation in Europe when we have to ramp up a lot of production in defense segment. We have to do it quite fast. So I've been wondering if it is a bit easier for now to break into this segment for a company like Incap that has not been that strong in defense segment historically, as we have to do things fast.
I think yes and no in that sense. That of course, Incap defense sector is small. At the same time, we have very competent team, and we have done very advanced projects, everything from different kind of radar systems to communication and control systems and drones and robots and different kind of project in the past. So there is two sides of one is the more conventional defense industry, but there's also a lot of new companies coming into the defense industry with new ideas and are driven by the rapid need and from the war, for example, in Ukraine, but also what that war have taught to industry, that it's, you can use a €100 drone to take out a tank that cost 100 million in that sense. And I think that has changed a little bit the whole doctrine of warfare and how people see on technology on the battlefield and in that development in for example drones and their use in both reconnaissance but also in actively in battlefield. I think there's a lot of development, a lot of new companies coming in, both developing the drones, developing countermeasures to these kind of drones, and there is a lot of possibilities. Still, I must say, Incap is a relatively small part of our entire business, but there's good potential, and we are working with very interesting companies developing these kind of new technologies together, and I'm very exciting in that sense with the prospect for it, and to be part of that with Incap as well. Even if it's a small part of the big business, it's an interesting and developing part currently.
Do you have all required capabilities and certificates in place to serve as customers also in the defense segment?
There, of course, is a lot of different certificates and so, and some are country specific and so, but we are an EMS company, so we do what is needed to serve our customers in all stages. But currently, what we are doing currently, we have this needed certificates for in the different units that are engaged and the different clearances and so that are needed. So that is something we, as an EMS company, of course, is part of our service. That if you need a capability or a certificate or some other capability, then we ensure that we will get that and have that in place.
That's good to hear. Thank you for the interview, and good luck with defense customers and other customers as well.
Thank you as well, Antti. And I need to steal at least 10 seconds and say all of the listeners that Incap is proudly putting up a new esport event here on the 10th of May, Incap Legends. And please take your chance, come and challenge us. There is still spots left, and you can register for the tournament. Nice prize pool, and you have the opportunity to shoot Incap's CEO, if you can get me and find me, that is.
Great opportunity for our community members. Stay tuned.